Prepare to step into a world where imagination knows no bounds as we present Legends, Loot, and Lore. Join your hosts, Andrew and Joe, the dice-rolling dynamic duo who will guide you every step of the way into the realm of Dungeons & Dragons. From crafting narratives to character creation, this podcast is your gateway to becoming the hero of your own story. Whether you're a new adventurer or a seasoned traveler seeking new insights, Legends, Loot, and Lore has something for everyone. After the episode, visit our website at www.legendslootandlore.com for even more resources and exclusive content. And if you're as passionate about this adventure as we are, help support our quest at legendslootandlore.supercast.com. Embark on this odyssey with us and let the echoes of ancient tales guide you toward a destiny filled with limitless possibilities. Roll for initiative, because your adventure begins now.
Welcome, fellow adventurers! You've tuned into yet another thrilling chapter of Legends, Loot, and Lore, the podcast that delves deep into the heart of all things Dungeons & Dragons. We're your hosts, Andrew and Joe, and today's journey promises to be an extraordinary one. Gather around as we sit down with a dear friend and fellow explorer, our friend Kat, to unravel the threads of D&D characters, delve into the art of role-playing, and even venture into the captivating world of LARPing. Thank you for joining us on this quest. And without further ado, let's roll for initiative and join the conversation. Joining the podcast today is our good friend, Kat. Kat, future mistress of the universe is her official title.
Yes.
Welcome, Kat.
How you doing, Kat?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're happy to have you. So we've got so much to talk about.
We have quite a few questions for you, future mistress. If you're going to be ruling the universe, maybe we should figure out a few things about you beforehand.
So why don't you begin? Why don't you introduce yourself to us a little bit? Tell us a little bit about your background. What got you into D&D? How'd you first get into it? What else you're interested in? Because I know, feel free to talk about LARPing, because I know that's a favorite pastime of yours. So tell us what's your introduction to Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, my introduction to D&D was way back in the day when was with AD&D.
Wow, AD&D. Okay.
Yes.
That's official,
that was
second, right? Second edition officially?
Second edition.
Yeah.
Yes. So I played, that was when I was in middle school.
Nice.
So I did some D&D back then.
Mm-hmm.
With second edition, and then didn't really play any of third or fourth edition. But then was really happy to jump back in with fifth because I was feeling the itch again. So some of the other things that I do, you mentioned LARPing.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Yes.
love to LARP. I sew, I make costumes, I'm into cosplay, conventions, all sorts of nerdy fandom stuff. And I'm a math teacher.
How exciting! So let me ask this question, because I've never asked you this before. So what has been your favorite cosplay that you have done, or do you have some particular favorites that you like to do?
Yes, I have my very favorite is Lady Tsunade, who's a character from the Naruto series. And she's my favorite because she's the Hokage, which is like the boss of the village.
Oh, nice.
Not a lot of people cosplay her, so I don't usually run into myself. A lot of people like her.
Right.
And most people who know her will listen to her. So I can run around and boss people around.
Ooh, nice.
She's practicing for that future ruler of the universe already.
That's right.
Are you sensing a theme?
Right? I'm picking it up. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But yeah, that's a really fun one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how have you been playing 5e now, D&D 5e? The latest edition of D&D.
And Joe, maybe you can help me out here. I want to say it's about 3 years.
2019.
Oh my God.
We were hip before everybody else because we were playing online before everybody was doing it because of the pandemic. But I started in March of 19, and I think you started like at the end of March of 19 because my friend Joe was going to play and then he bailed, and then I was like, oh, I got to call Kat.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about your Minds of Phandelver character. So who refresh my memory, because I have a terrible memory. So talk about who was your first character when we started playing.
All right. So for that one, I made Zalana Faira was her name.
All right.
And she was a wood elf ranger.
Nice. Okay. Nice combo.
Yeah, I prefer to think of it as classic rather than cliche.
It's just such a more cultured term than
I like it. It's a great combo. I think we've already been talking about the elves and fighters. So we've covered those already on the podcast. So I think it really is a solid combination if you're looking to maximize the stats on some of the features, the racial features that the wood elf has. So that's a great combination. Was there any inspiration to this character, or how did you come up with Zalana? Right, I want to make sure I get that.
Zalana. Yes.
How did you come up with that? What was your process?
With the name?
With the name, with the character, with the picking the race and the class, etc. How did you develop that character?
Gotcha. Well, the name was fantasy name generator.
Yeah. Okay. That works.
Yeah. Great tool for names.
Yes, love it. And what I usually do is I'll go through and I'll make a list of first names, I'll make a list of last names, and then I'll just see what I like that goes together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's often how I'll pick my character names.
Nice. That works.
And then for the character itself, it was definitely, and hear me out,
okay,
it was a Lord of the Rings inspiration, but it wasn't Legolas. Yes, I was an elf that shot a bow.
Right.
However, I mean, Legolas is fine, don't get me wrong, but I'm not necessarily a big Legolas girl.
Okay.
Really what I was going for, I really wanted to have that confidence of Aragorn.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to have the be a great woodsman, and obviously I was an archer,
right,
like Legolas, but I really wanted to be, a fighter as well, like Gimli, but I also wanted to be a little bit unexpected. A little bit of a little naughty, cause a little trouble here and there. A little Peregrine Tookish.
Sneak around in the shadows a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
nice.
Yeah, so I didn't have inspiration from just one character, but there was a whole lot of Lord of the Rings inspiration going on in there. But I really felt like it was more of, from my point of view, more of an Aragorn inspiration, even though it was an elf with a bow.
So I'm just thinking back to the way that campaign went, and I was wondering, did you intend to make your character tied to nature, specifically animals? Or was that just something that developed throughout the campaign? Because was that something you were thinking of as a ranger?
I think the animal thing came out because of my own personality.
It wasn't something you predetermined into your character. And that's something we've been trying to say on the podcast too, is like you create your character however you want. It's going to change a little bit as you play it. That's how it's going to be. You come out in everything that you make.
You can't help but kind of
Personalize.
infuse yourself into the character to some extent. I think it's just natural.
Right.
Right. Because I didn't necessarily lean into like a Beastmaster Ranger.
Right.
She took the hunter.
Yep.
But me, being the animal lover and the former animal trainer, literally.
Yeah.
Former animal keeper, animal trainer. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
That's right.
You know, if you present me an animal, I'm probably gonna try and feed it.
And you've done so many times in that campaign.
And not even just animals. I will harken back to, I believe it was a nothic that you befriended.
Well, she had
what was the nothic's name?
Barry
the nothic.
I think that was
Barry.
She had the great
the
idea to
nothic.
feed it the dead bodies of all the people you killed.
Yes.
And then she protected.
Yes.
She wanted to protect the owl bear, so the owl bear was released instead of having a fairly tough combat against the owl bear. I think she was the first one that tried to feed the wolves in the early cave.
Fed the wolves.
Yeah,
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
that's just you and who you are. And
Well, remember, I think it was Curse of Strahd that we were playing. I mean, we had like the undead cats. Like we had like a menagerie of animals following us
We
around.
had an actual menagerie
We did.
in that one.
There was
of
cats.
living and undead animals.
there was cats. There was a monkey. There was hellhounds. There was an axe beak. I mean, the list just keeps going.
Yeah.
And I actually had very little to do with that collecting of animals.
That's
I
That
did
one's
not
true.
have.
That's true.
I think you were an inspiration to us all, though. I think it just naturally came that way. We can't help but love and care for animals, both living and undead.
Well, see, because it worked out so well in Fandover.
It certainly did. Now they've got a new Fandelver adventure coming out.
I've been looking into that a little bit, and I haven't gotten much details on it yet.
I'm thinking I really want to play that. What is it? What's the
Yes.
name of it again?
I don't know, underneath or something like that.
Underneath the obelisk. There's
Yeah.
something about an obelisk in the.
You gonna run it, or do you want to play it? You don't want to run it. You want me to run it.
I'd run it. Like Strixhaven, when I tried running Strixhaven, that was very complicated because there wasn't a lot.
Strixhaven was a social adventure that was really meant to be played by people around the table.
Yeah.
And we like that would have worked a lot better.
That would have been a great in-person one,
Yeah.
Strixhaven. But I would happily run the new Fandelver campaign.
When's it come out?
I believe it's coming out. Okay.
Now we're going to look this
We're
up.
going to look this up.
Because if you're really going to do that, maybe you can do it after we finish the Dragons. Tyranny of
All
Dragons.
right, let's go to source books.
I'm very excited about a Fandelver extension.
Oh, here it is. Fandelver and Below, The Shattered Obelisk.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Available September 9th, where books are sold.
19th.
19th.
Okay.
September 19th.
Soon.
So it's only a few weeks away.
So the real question is, it's levels 1 through 12. So would you recreate your character or would you make a new one, Kat?
Oh.
So the idea of recreating your character is theoretically you would be downgrading your character back to level 1 because this is an adventure for level 1 to 12. So
Ooh.
that's something to think about, something to marinate.
Get the gang back together again?
Yeah, but that would be really interesting. Then what would I do? Would I pick up Fiang and try to play Fiang?
I don't know. There's so many options.
Well, we also have 2 new players in that campaign.
That's
So
true.
I think we'd just get new characters.
As long as it's not Darwin.
That's when somebody interviews me. We're not going to get into my grotesque,
no.
hideous creature.
We spent plenty of time talking about me, Joe. So we've talked about this.
We've talked about this already.
We've talked about the hideous touching. Joe went on about touching everything and what the consequences of that were.
However, I could convince anybody to do anything for me because I was that charismatic by the time I was done with it. I was really overpowered in that manner. Maybe my visual appearance, but I did walk around in a cloak and get a little deodorant for the odor that was coming off. And I'm good to go, man. I could run the entire... I could be the emperor.
I don't think there's enough Axe body spray in the world that would cover up that odor.
But I could have been the emperor in Star Wars. I mean, he has all that power, and he's just in that shroud, so nobody sees him.
I don't know.
I
don't know. I know, right?
Anyway, so what about your backstory, Kat? What was the inspiration for your backstory, or was it just something you kind of searched around for ideas, or just something you plucked completely out of your head?
Yeah, I just cobbled something together that seemed to make sense. Hello, Leo.
There's our Leo.
Here comes, and there
it is. So for those of you who don't know, we play every Monday and Tuesday night. Cat plays in the Tuesday night campaign, and Leo always makes an appearance, and he always gives us a little cat butt.
Never lets us down.
Nope. So for the backstory, I'm not, for people that are into backstories, that's great. That's not me. I just put together enough to get me going. Mm-hmm. She was a folk hero. I don't remember the details now. I had some, but I don't remember them anymore. And her sister was killed, and I was out to avenge her.
There you have it.
Yeah.
The rest is a little murky.
Which was always really interesting because I think you ended up taking the stone crafter or the gem crafter.
Jeweler.
The jeweler, like what was that? That was one of the folk hero, right? The folk hero could be the jeweler.
Yeah.
Also. And I remember sitting there, it's like, why did you do this? And I think when we talked about it, you said the jeweler was something to do with your sister, and that's why you became the jeweler or something like that. But I mean, that is 4 years ago.
Right.
I think you make a good point though, Kat, that you don't necessarily have to, and I think I was talking about this when I was interviewing James, talking about you don't necessarily have to have a fully fleshed out backstory at the beginning. It's something that you can write over the duration of the adventure and build out that backstory as you go. So I think that's a good point for beginning players. You don't need this huge tale of woe or tragedy or whatever. You can start with one or two basic facts and build from there as the story goes on. So I think that's a really good point.
And he even said, just putting a few pieces in together, that's really like gold for the DM, because then they can use that and integrate your character story into the adventure any way that they want. You want to have a detailed backstory, that's great, go for it. But for a DM, like he was saying, you give him like 3 or 4 tidbits, forget it. He'll create a whole little scenario for you just for you. You never have to worry about, But I'm one of those people that I have like that little bit of creative spark. So when I start with a backstory, it's at least 2 pages. And I'm like, why couldn't I write papers like this in college?
Right. And that's great. That's and sometimes some characters, I have this idea and it rolls. Like with Ray, she had a decent amount of backstory. Mm-hmm. My turtle cleric.
Right.
But most of mine don't. They have enough pieces that I can kind of imagine them, that I can imagine my character in my mind, that I can kind of picture, okay, well, how would this backstory motivate this person? How would they then sound? What would they do? And as long as I have enough to do that, to role play them and to figure out what kind of actions they would then take. That's enough for me.
So with some of your characters, not necessarily just Zalana, but your other characters, what are some of your fondest memories of things that have happened throughout the campaigns? Like what's something that stands out to you from all of your campaigning?
Oh, I mean, getting a nothic.
That was huge.
And a manor. I ended up with a manor and a magical sword and a pet nothic and apparently, according to my notes, a goblin as well.
You had a goblin?
What did we name that
I guess
goblin?
So.
I came up with a crazy, stupid, simple name for that goblin, and I don't remember what it was. So when you guys went to Cragmaw Keep,
right?
There was a goblin who the goblin was being bullied by the orcs,
Mm-hmm.
and when you saved him, he decided to try to he gave you some information and stuff like that, and he kind of followed you around like a lost puppy, and she kind of adopted him, and the whole group kind of adopted him, and he kind of followed you around for the rest of the adventure.
And then stayed at my manor
Mm-hmm.
with my nothic, protecting my manor and my nothic.
That's right.
Yes. See, working on my mistress status.
So there's actually a whole new background story for you, right? It's this adventurer comes in, takes over the manor, and helps everybody, get rid of the bad guys. There were a group of ruffians that were inhabiting it, and they bring in this goblin who's like the butler of the whole place. He's taking care of the whole thing, and all of a sudden, people start disappearing, and this one dies, and this one disappears. And the truth of the matter is this goblin's been killing all the cast-offs of the society of the township, dragging it into the basement of the manor to feed the nothic, so the nothic doesn't go crazy and kill everybody else.
There's so many ways you could go with this. This is what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking maybe the start of the second Fandelver adventure is that Mistress Zalana summons these adventurers to the mansion and sends them on their way. So maybe Zalana, who's been living there this whole time now, is sending them either to their doom or to their glory.
Intentionally.
I love that. I love when characters come back. Yes, that is great. Now,
we'll definitely have to work on that.
One of my other favorite things.
Yes.
Joe, do you remember your first player character death?
If memory serves, that was Rob's Dragonborn drinking himself to death. No?
It was not.
Oh, what was it?
Before that.
In the Fandelver campaign?
It was in Fandelver.
Who? Did you change out your character?
I did not.
I killed a character besides...
You killed Kriv!
Oh, I can't help that. Kriv ran into the middle of a combat and he just made him... Do you remember Kriv?
Vaguely. I have the worst memory, so...
My 11-year-old son's character.
Oh my God, that's right. Joe!
Everybody was yelling at me, but what was I supposed to do? I mean, the mechanics of the game said that he ran into the middle of a room of enemies and everybody started whacking at him.
Joe's first character death was my 11-year-old son.
Wow.
Probably scarred him for life now. He probably hates my guts now. He probably sits there and says, "You're going to play with that guy? He killed me, Ma. Don't you remember?"
Child death.
That'll teach him to build weak characters.
That's right.
Thank you. No, I forgot about him.
He should take a little responsibility himself.
Yeah,
for this.
So 50-50 here. Maybe I ganged up on him, but you should have toughened up a little bit.
That's right. You should have had better death saves, kid.
That's right.
Yep. Crib.
Oh my God. So looking back, is there anything you would do, anything you do differently with your first character, Zalana? Or would you do anything differently with any of your characters?
Well, I mean, I don't know that there's anything I do differently. There are
Mhm.
things that I know now that
Right.
I would incorporate.
Okay.
Like, sometimes my characters will have a catchphrase. My turtle cleric, before she cast anything, said, "By the strength of the sun and the moon, I cast blah blah blah."
Right.
So she had a catchphrase.
Nice.
Some of my characters have a certain action that they
Mhm.
repeat all the time. I have a bugbear that likes to sever the heads of his enemies for his god Hugrek. So I would have incorporated something a little more of a certain role-playing aspect like that, which are actually pretty easy. Maybe a particular laugh or, a particular phrase that she likes, something like that.
Got it.
So
But I wouldn't have changed anything, just maybe added.
Right.
we did try that, and I think it's partially on me and partially on you guys. Andrew's character was supposed to, and he did it for the first couple of times. Every time he returned to Fandelver, he rolled his dice and he gave away a certain percentage of his money that he got, and he never told anybody about it because that was part of his character backstory. And you were supposed to get drunk every time you went back to town because you were drinking away the memories of your sister, and like everybody had something.
I hated town so much.
Oh, that's right.
Like, I love the woods.
Yes.
I just hated being in town so much. I was just so like, oh, we have to be here. I can't stand being here. So I would sneak off. First, I'd have to try and sneak.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I would roll to see if I got drunk.
And then I think
it's on my character sheet.
I think Steve's he was supposed to be like, I don't remember exactly what his was. I think now that we're talking about it, he was supposed to be like, like a Don Juan, trying to be a Don Juan type of character. Like
Don Juan
he was
cleric.
Yeah, he was constantly trying to hit on Christina's character, and Christina kept rebuffing him as Shava and kept him like, no, go away. And then we went into that one inn, and he rolled a nat 1 trying to seduce the wench. Oh man!
It's
But did anybody like the cleric?
You mean in general?
In general,
I don't think anybody really disliked him.
There was a lot of sexual tension.
Well, they were married in real life, so
yeah, fair.
But
fair.
There's sexual tension in like every game that we play. You guys bring up everything about sexual tension. We're like a bunch of teenagers.
I have to tell you one thing, both of you. So it was so funny earlier on Monday. So we played Monday night. Earlier on Monday, I posted this video on TikTok about it was using one of those like CapCut like video like green screen videos of this guy going like, everything's okay, it's okay, everything's okay, no, there's not a problem, and the whole thing was like, the comment I put on it was, I said, when you accidentally kill the NPC who had valuable information. and it was weird how that like actually played out that night. Fortunately the NPC didn't have valuable information, but Kat's character Maten's like just came in swinging. Eventually, it was just like, I've had enough of this, and just like lopped off the head of this poor character.
It was a 15-20 minute conversation. Bill trying to argue that we need to save the guy. Andrew kind of being like going back and forth about what it is, and Kat's just like, what do we need him for? Kill him.
I know. Like, I'm over here, checks alignment. Yeah, chaotic evil. His head's coming off.
It was one of the most satisfying conclusions to a discussion. So a lot of times what happened is when people...
it was.
I'm sure it was satisfying for you.
When people end up in these monster battles, conversations, sometimes the DM will start throwing dice just to, scare them, make them think, hey, we got to move and keep going. But then I was sitting there and I was listening to it. I was just like, this is priceless. Like I'm loving this. And then it started getting a little old and I was just like, okay. And then Cash was like, no, off with his head. But yes, he did not have any vital information for you. Like the thing that was so suspicious to Bill was, why'd they put him down in the dragon's cave to help him heal if he was sick? It's like, and I said it twice. I was like, because it's warmer down here.
It's
well,
I think there's a lot of distrust of the DM. So
I can't help that. I'm perfectly trustworthy. I say exactly what I mean every single time.
Not buying it. Not buying it. I'm not buying what you're selling. You're rolling poorly for persuasion right now. I am not buying it.
I can't help it that your insight is not telling you the truth.
I'm rolling poor on insight. You're rolling poor on persuasion. Whatever.
Let's just keep rolling.
That's right. Let's keep on rolling. What other questions do we have? My goodness.
So I'm thinking specifically of Ray here. But I remember you had did you have goals with any of your other characters that you wanted to accomplish? I remember Ray was like this young teenager who was out there to experience the world, and that group definitely scarred the living crap out of her with some of the things that they said. But anyway, did you have goals with anybody else? Like when you created your character? For them in the story, I mean, not for you personally.
Yes. Let's see. Maten's was trying to collect a bunch of gold so that he can raise his own army, or horde, or whatever you want to call it, and
yep,
go kick some butt, I guess, something like that.
He was trying to take.
He's also kind of lazy
tribe.
though, so
yeah,
we'll see how that works out. Let's see. Oh, Petra had a vendetta against undead. So she was out to clear the land of undead and, bring Thor's holiness to the land.
A worthy cause. A very worthy cause.
Yes, especially in the land of Strahd.
Yes.
Let's see. Taurus.
Oh, Taurus. Isn't he destined to become trying to become a great musical?
Yes, he was a minotaur that had been a pirate or something, and he up and decided that he was going to become a bard.
Why not?
So he had to learn music, and he was terrible.
And what was your instrument again?
The slide whistle.
And what was your weapon again? Didn't you have like a giant slide whistle that you used to hit people?
Oh, I just beat people with my slide whistle.
Which was your club.
Which was a club. Yeah, I just clubbed people with my giant slide whistle.
Nice.
And one of the cool things about being a bard is, you can walk into any place or any environment, a street corner, you can play. And if you play well enough or people feel sorry enough for you, they give you some coin. Well, I tweaked it a little bit for her. She could do an intimidation check after she played. And if she scared people well enough, they'd give her coin anyway.
That's definitely one way to do it.
And who is it? What one of the player characters was in love with your acting? Was it Mike's dwarf or something like that? It was just like every time you went to play, they were like, "Yeah, you're fantastic. You're fantastic."
It must have been Mike.
It had to be Mike. Yeah, that was Mike, Liz's, and Chris's first adventure into 5e D&D. So that was we played through the Mines of Vendelver again.
Right.
That was they did it backwards. They went through the whole thing, and then they were supposed to go to Cragmaw Keep and then to the Echo Wave Caves.
Right.
Well, they found out about the Echo Wave Caves first, so they went to the Echo Wave Caves first, and then went to Cragmaw Castle. So they completed the adventure, and then they went back to finish fighting off the orcs. So they didn't find out about any of these, the goblin.
How disappointing.
Which goes to show you can run the game however you want, and the people can play the game however they want. So again, we keep talking about how customizable this game is in so many ways.
Yeah. And as somebody that played in that Fandelver as well, the second time, it was really fun to kind of do it backwards.
So this kind of leads to a different question. Was there any surprising or unexpected developments of your characters, specifically your first one, but even any of them, that they had some type of change that they went through, or some type of growth that happened to them that altered your perception of them or your play style of them?
Yeah. Well, thinking about Zalana, when I created her, I was really focused on her being, like I said, a bowman, an
Right.
archer. I took archery as my style, and that was my focus, that was my thing. But then as we were doing the adventure, I found some really badass stuff. Like, I found gauntlets of ogre strength.
Ooh.
So I went from having a strength of 12 to having a strength of 19,
Wow.
which isn't going to do you any good with a bow.
Nope.
I also found a +1 sword.
That was the sword of
So,
Transcender Manor. Yeah.
yep.
Interesting. Those
So,
gauntlets remind me of like the Incredible Hulk gloves that people like to wear
Yeah.
and punch around. That's how I kind of imagine your character with these giant like green gloves on, just punching
Swinging that
stuff.
sword.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so it was pretty cool. So she started out as very much a ranged character
Yeah.
because her AC was not great. But then, she ended up being, a lot largely a melee character, but she had great options,
Right.
That's pretty cool.
which was nice. Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. So
Which question? This question?
this question.
This question.
I
Okay.
want to ask you this question. So we've talked a lot about your characters and how they've changed and developed over time. I've been reading this fantastic book about how psychologists are using D&D in therapy. How has D&D, what you've played out in D&D, has that had any impact on you personally and your relationship to others, the world? Like, has it done anything for you in that regard?
Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah, murder hoboing is definitely therapeutic.
Very. There have been many times when I've come home from work saying, I just can't wait to kill something tonight. Like, it's just,
Exactly.
yeah.
I always equate it to back when I would come home from school and I would be pissed off at something, and I'd get my old Super Nintendo out and play Mortal Kombat and just beat the crap out of the characters.
Right.
So it's the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
There's something
Yeah.
very freeing, not even just about, it's just about doing something that kind of just lets out all of this anger in a somewhat healthy, if there's a way to kill something in a healthy manner, but just letting out all that, all of those things you want to say to your coworkers or your boss or to your kids or to whomever that you can't say to them and put it through your character when faced with a foe that you need to defeat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to figure out how to do it creatively and maybe if you're good or neutral with the people that
Right.
you're adventuring with,
Right.
or if you're evil, however you want. Um, but for me also, it led me into LARP because I
Right.
probably wouldn't have ended up LARPing
Mm-hmm.
if I weren't already doing role playing in D&D.
Right. Interesting. So how did you get started in LARPing?
Well, a friend of mine who's also a Star Trek fan, like all three of us are, is in LARP.
Okay.
And he
Cool.
said, you know what? Let me just add you to our Facebook group. And
Uh-huh.
That's how it starts.
Nice.
And just, see what happens. And so after just sitting in the Facebook group, I was like, oh, look at all those costumes.
Right.
Oh, man, that looks so cool. And then I was like, I could create a character and I could go just be that character in person.
Right.
Just like I do on paper. But I love to sew and I could actually make a costume and wear it.
It's like kind of like the best of cosplaying at a con and role playing a character in D&D and kind of putting those two parts together into this real world kind of adventure.
Yes. And when I say I want to hit him with my sword, though, I just whack him with my little foam sword.
I actually swing my sword at them.
Yeah, and then I get whacked right back.
Right, exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and that's great because it's a community,
right?
LARP is a community of good friends that I've made. So that's been great too.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You have any other questions, Joe?
I just wanted to ask one more thing. One of my things that I love about D&D is the interactions people have with each other as you're playing the game. So was there any time that your character interacted with another character or your personal interaction with another player really stood out to you in any of the campaigns that you've played?
Let's see. Taurus's bad jokes stand out because I'm not a bard type.
I remember you went looking those up. You looked up Shakespearean insults.
Yes. Yeah. So those stand out, and then I learned to play the one thing I could play on an actual slide whistle.
There you go.
The thing from the
New
what
life
is it, the
skills.
Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Yep. So those stand out.
That's why I tried being a bard.
This
but...
adventure. Hold on. The Christmas one shot.
Yeah.
The Christmas one shot when we all made Joe like cringe, cover his ears. I think that's when he started wearing headphones.
Yes. that was about the time I had to start wearing headphones because it was just a little too much for Mama Dukes to hear.
Achievement unlocked. Yes. That was priceless. That was teamwork at its best.
That reminds me, are either of you watchers of Only Murders in the Building?
No, I did not start that one.
No, but that sounds intriguing.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's on Hulu. But anyway, so in the latest season, Martin Short's character is putting on a musical. Steve Martin, his character, has to do this this song in the musical. And what's happening is when they're rehearsing, apparently there's something what's referred to as the white room. So what a stage actor goes into is the white room. So if they can't remember their lines, instead of in a movie or a TV show when you can do another take, in a live production, there's no second take. You're just live. So
yeah.
They talk about going into this white room. So he starts singing this song, and you start to see him zoning out, and it cuts to him in all white in this white room, just dancing around, and it cuts back to him, and in this bizarre scene, and he has no clue what he has just said. But apparently whatever he has just said instead of the lyrics of the song that he couldn't remember are so disturbing. Like all the other people in the room, I just remember the one guy goes, "I need to go call my therapist." and steps out of the room, and I just feel like we just scarred Joe and potentially his mother for during that one shot, that holiday campaign, because that was just was something.
I'm going to take this moment to give a little bit of a PSA here. Be aware of the group that you're playing with. this is all fun and games and it's all great. Don't say things that may offend the people that you're playing with, because, when you start going down these things, some people can't take those jokes. Some people can't take those concepts. So you got to be a little careful about that so that you don't disrupt the party in the game in and of itself. Now, I didn't have any problem with it. It was all good fun. And yeah, I put the headphones on and it didn't bother Mom anymore. But just be careful when you're making these jokes and stuff like that. Make sure everybody in your party is going to be okay with it. And it's an extreme example, but I was reading a story one time about a guy who's doing a homebrew, and he didn't warn his players that one of the victims that they were helping had survived an assault. And when he described the assault, he was very detailed because he was trying to give descriptions of the attacker and everything came around. And one of the players kind of had like a moment where they're like, I got to go. And it was traumatic for them. I hesitate to use the word, but it triggered something for them. And these are these moments where you have to know your audience when you're doing it as a DM, when you're doing it as a player. I mean, we've been so vulgar for the last 4 years that I don't think there's anything that would really cause any of us to not have an issue. But, if you're going into a new game, especially...
Challenge accepted.
What have I done? If you're going into a game that is either with new people in it or you are a new person and your personality has these types of quirks, make sure that you're aware and you're either limiting yourself to until you get the temperature of the room, or limit yourself so you don't cross any borders for anybody.
Or ask if there's any established boundaries.
That's that's fantastic.
What is everybody's comfort level with this?
Right.
With that, spell things out.
I'm making it official now. No more repeated shots, nuts of a character or a creature. I'm no longer comfortable with that.
So no repeated shots, but single shots are okay.
One shot at a beach, but if I see two people hit it in the same row, that's it. You guys are dead.
Okay.
Rocks fall.
So we've got to be every other person.
That's right. That's right. Only one person per round.
Yep. There you go.
Got it.
Right. But so I can get them on my first attack, but not my second.
That's correct. Your second attack, you have to target a different part of the body.
Correct.
This is very specific.
I am, because it triggers me.
But okay. All right. But I respect your wishes.
I think you bring up a really good point about when someone is looking to join a party, to understand what the dynamics of the party are going to be. And I think it's good for both a DM to kind of establish some of those ground rules.
Yeah.
And as a player, not every table, not every party, not every group is the same. So you may want to, if you've got concerns, you may want to make sure maybe it's an LGBTQ friendly table. Maybe there's no discussion of politics or religion. Maybe if the DM is going to talk about a triggering topic, make sure
give a heads up.
Give a heads up saying this
do it.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right.
So I think not necessarily laying the ground rules all at the beginning, but I think understanding what you're getting yourself into, to be like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, or this is what I don't want to get involved with. So I think as you're establishing, getting into a group of people, kind of establishing some of those ground rules is really important.
And if you're new to the game, the first thing I would suggest is going to the DM, asking them, do you have a limit, or is there something going on here? And then if there isn't, explaining to them, here, this is where I'm at, and they will hopefully modify themselves if there's anything that they're doing beyond it.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's probably about our time.
I think so. And I think we covered everything. I mean, did you have anything you wanted to add real quick?
Yes, Kat. Do you have any parting thoughts or ideas or anything that's on your mind?
Wisdom from the future mistress of the universe.
Get in line. Get in line now.
Hey, I'm first. I want to be first when she's become the future mistress.
That's right.
I just think D&D is a great place to try out some different different roles, characters, personalities, different ways to play.
Yep.
And it's a lot of fun and can be tremendously great stress relief. So have fun.
sure.
Have fun with it. That's the bottom
Absolutely.
line.
And you
However
really,
that looks for you.
Right.
and you've really done that with Ray, the bubbly 18-year-old looking to explore everything. And then
Oh, she was 11.
Oh, she was 11. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She was 11. This turtle.
And Matens, I'm just going to kill everything. I mean, you've really run the gambit of all the different types of it, and that's why this is a great conversation to have with you, because you've hit them all.
Yes. Yes. I've gone from super lawful good to very much chaotic evil. Yes.
I'd like to see some more chaos and more evil from Matens personally.
Oh. Coming up.
I would actually like that very much.
Be careful what you wish for.
I'm completely serious because remember Thoradin is over 250. He won't give his exact age. He's over 250 years old. So he's seen some stuff, and I think I'm just getting too old for this shit. Is going to be his line throughout the campaign, but I'm looking forward to seeing some chaos and some evil.
So you want to see more of her just executing people randomly as everybody's
You're lucky.
discussing?
I mean, the party's lucky he's lazy. You know?
Right.
Or else there would be a lot more trouble. I don't even know what our paladin would do with himself if the Tens weren't so lazy. But
Can you imagine, Bill? You got to see Toma trying to restrain Matens as Matens is about to go off on a killing spree on a bunch of civilians.
I only wish that Matens penchant for cutting off heads was maybe a different body part. So we could still question them.
Crude.
No, I'm not. I didn't say what body part. Jeez, Joe, get your mind out of the gutter. I'm thinking legs and arms, hands,
Right?
feet. So we could question them, and you could still get what you wanted, and then we could still get what we wanted out of questioning the NPC. So
But Hugh Greg only wants heads.
I understand,
Sorry.
and that's why I'm saying I wish it had been some other appendage. But if it has to be the head, it has to be the head.
yeah, I mean, a severed leg is so much less threatening.
Agreed. But they're much more likely to talk while missing a leg than they're not going to talk at all if they're missing a head.
I mean, not necessarily. You hang those heads up at night. I mean, power of Hugrek.
What would be amazing would be your character also as a necromancer to make the heads talk afterward.
So actually,
That would be super cool.
I think you have the ability to pray to Hubrick and have one of the heads talk. Now that would be funny. You killed this guy. You bring up his head later on and ask Hubrick to make his head talk, and then his head talks, and you find out he really was worthless. After all that argument, and Hubrick says, "See, told you, worthless."
Correct. And bugbears, you will I believe typically like you put the head around the campsite as an alarm.
I forgot about that part. Yeah, when they have like a permanent settlement to go around and kill these things, and then they stick them around, and then the magic of Hubrick will allow them to act as like they scream out. I think it was.
That's amazing. I love that idea. I'm all for that.
I think we now know what his next character is going to be.
Hugrek is good. Yes.
Well, because it reminds me of Honor Among Thieves when he's got the thing where he can touch the dead person, ask him 5 questions, and then they die permanently.
That was only 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, hello.
Somebody asked me a question. Oh, well, there's more in store in this campaign, Andrew.
I'm looking forward to it very, very much.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
All right.
I really want to see what happens with Toma when the future of Hugrek comes out now. Not Hugrek, sorry. The future of Matens comes out now.
Yes.
I really want to see how he's going to react to this.
We shall see. Should be fun.
Plots and schemes, plots and schemes.
That's right.
Well, I think that covers just about everything.
I think it does. Thank you so much, Kat, for joining us for this fantastic episode of Legends, Loot, and Lore. It's been a great conversation talking about characters, character creation, and LARPing. And
LARPing.
we threw in just a little, not I don't think enough, but we threw in a little bit of Star Trek. So we mentioned Star Trek in there. So next time we'll have to talk more about that. But again, thank you so much for your time. This has been a great conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Kat.
Absolutely. Always great talking with you guys.
You too.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Legends, Loot, and Lore. We hope you've enjoyed immersing yourself in the realms of Legends, uncovering hidden loot, and delving into captivating lore. But the journey doesn't end here. For exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and access to our community, visit legendslootandlore.supercast.com. There you'll be able to support the podcast, where you can join our Discord server for lively discussions and subscriber-only content, and connect with fellow enthusiasts. Stay connected with us on Instagram and Facebook at Legends, Loot, and Lore to continue on the quest. By following our social media channels, you'll be the first to know about upcoming episodes, bonus content, and exciting announcements. If you've enjoyed your time with us, we kindly ask you to rate and subscribe to this podcast. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue producing captivating episodes and embarking on new quests. Thank you for being a part of our journey. We're thrilled to have you by our side as we unravel the legends, uncover the loot, and delve deeper into the lore. Until next time.